Thanks for coming.
It is great to have you all here and to know that we started this journey about 7 months ago and we've accomplished a lot together in a short amount of time. But we wanted to take tonight's discussion to sort of hear from the next generation. And we had the pleasure of meeting Kayla Yowell, who is very involved with the Zebra Mussel Foundation and working out of CLC on a capstone project to, I'll have her tell you about that. But Kayla, I was so glad that John introduced you to us and you ran us through all of the instruments there at CLC. And I thought it would be useful if we all could just hear what it is that got you involved with water and what it is you're doing now. And then I have a few other questions about where we go with your generation.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. I was so nice to meet you and Becky as well on the one day when I presented everything to you guys. So to start, like what drew me into the field was I've always really loved anything having to do with water. I grew up in Lake County, still live there, but live in Chicago currently for school. Um, but I've always felt like I should know more about like the health and just anything about lakes with living in a county with the name Lake County. Um, and what really drew me in was learning about invasive species and various bodies of water, and as well as wanting clean water to be a right for people instead of a privilege. Um, and that kind of goes into my current interest, or like at least my field of study right now. So I'm a senior at Loyola University in Chicago, and I'm studying environmental engineering as well as pursuing a minor in mathematics. Um, right now, I am working in a capstone project, an engineering capstone with a group of people. And our project is developing and creating an unmanned surface vehicle, a USV, to sample urban waterways, um, so that our sponsor can get live data out in the field. And we're working with Loyola School of Environmental Sustainability to do so. So we get, a budget from Loyola as well as the sponsor to do this. And it's a year-long project, so our entire senior year. And I thought that it was kind of cool how it really just kind of coincides with what I do with like the Zebra Mussel Project Foundation and like taking water samples and going out in the field and taking water quality data with various sensors like pH, turbidity, DO, and stuff like that. Well, not turbidity over the summer, but with at least the project and everything. Um, and yeah, and just kind of what got me into, I guess, wanting to learn more about, lakes and like water management and such is taking the AP environmental science class in high school and learning all about like water and wastewater treatment. And my wastewater engineering class, we're actually going to take a field trip to the O'Brien wastewater treatment plant in Skokie in November. So that'll be fun to get to actually see it in person because we were actually supposed to go on a field trip to a wastewater treatment plant in high school, but since COVID, we couldn't. But now I get to eventually. Um,
And you've also seen the impact from the
mhm,
stuff that you've been doing, right, with
mhm.
John's group as you've been doing measurement. Can you tell us a little bit about the impacts you've seen, like the correlation between measurement and actually restoring lakes or mitigating some of the zebra mussel?
So I know, so we treat with Earth Tech UZ, which is a suspended copper, which instead of just treating with a copper solution, which would just sink to the bottom of water, the suspended copper actually stays suspended within the water. And through, trial and error and everything, we learned that that was the best solution because it really only affects the zebra mussels and kills off those veligers, those baby zebra mussels, and doesn't affect any other really resourceful and counterstone like species and everything in the waters. Um, and I tend to just mostly work over the summer with like the hands-on stuff, so I haven't been able to really analyze the data as much, but you can actually find all of our data and prior years data on our website, um, which, yeah, you can look at, and then I think it should list like contacts and everything. So John Sonnenberg will probably yap your ear off about all of the what everything means and all the data and stuff. Um, but yeah, just it's nice to see like whenever I would go to people's houses to install the devices. So we have like these plates that hang off of docks that accumulate zebra mussels by the end of the summer. And we have a massing day, which I have yet to go to one because I start school a little bit earlier, but they count every single zebra mussel on those plates at the end of the summer to kind of get it correlates with, like the size of the lake and, like the kind of concentration of zebra mussels. Um, and yeah, it's just nice to go to people's houses and have them even ask questions and like wonder how everything's going. Um, and at least right now, we now finally have a room in CLC's horticultural building as like a little, base, and it's really cool to see how much the project has evolved over, I think it's now like 5 or 6 years.
Right.
Um,
Right. And it's interesting to us that it's evolved from being just addressing the zebra mussel challenge to an engagement and a mentorship program for
mhm,
youth to be involved in running the project. So
mhm.
that's been really encouraging. So besides being out and reaching and talking to the local people on it, what would you enjoy most? Like when we think about structuring a program to bring in your generation, are there certain things that have made this program particularly appealing or that you'd like to see?
I think what makes people more comfortable with kind of doing this internship is knowing that who they're going to work with is like their peers, is around like the same age as them. So whenever I contact everybody, they're usually in like high school or even in, college, usually like a freshman or sophomore and everything. And it's like you kind of have that instant connection where like, oh, like what year are you? What are you studying and stuff? And just kind of getting that, you know, just having someone to talk to your age and like you said, like mentor, being able to show like how to get more involved. Like I love sending them different conferences or like, presentations that they could even like go to and stuff to learn a little bit more. And even like some of the people that I've worked with, their major isn't even science, which is cool. Oh, I have a
Yeah, right. It takes everything
um
to solve water problems. I mean, you need
yeah.
someone health, math, or communications.
Hmm.
So
Like it's nice to see that people other than like scientists care about the
right.
health of the environment, which is a big thing because I feel like most people kind of take it for granted. Especially me living in the city, it's like hard. Like all we have is like Michigan, really. There aren't really any forests and such about. So there's lots of, pollution, trash everywhere and stuff like that. People kind of just take everything for granted. Um,
Or they don't even get out there to see it,
yeah.
so they don't even know what they're missing. And
Hmm.
um, has that been like when you're talking with your peers at CLC, are most of them already familiar with the outdoors, or would you say like they might also benefit from a lake day where you would do an intro, bring them
Yeah,
out?
are you talking about my like friends at Loyola or the
And
people that I work with through
or
the
CLC,
internship?
either place.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Literally, you're going to school. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at least with environmental engineering, it seems we all are very outdoorsy people. It seems I remember one of my professor last year asked us like why we're here, why, what kind of made our interest, and everyone kind of had the same answer. We're very much outdoorsy people and we want to preserve the environment and we don't want to see that change for, everyone in the future and such. Um, and like I think it's very nice, like going out with everyone from the internship and everything, and them trying new things and stuff, like, getting their hands dirty and everything instead of, just being in a lab and like, or being in class. It's like different from learning something and then putting it to like use. um, which I think is just more empowering to be able to know that you can use your knowledge outside of class. And especially since that's how I got into the internship, was my teacher, my AP Environmental Science teacher is the one that referred everyone. He was like, hey, if you'd like to do this internship, like, you can just let me know and I'll give you all the contacts and stuff. But
It's
yeah.
great. Yeah. Yeah. And so when you think back on your career, as you look ahead, but think like 35 years, 40 years from now, you might be looking back and saying, what did Kayla do? Or how does the environment look different? What would you like to say happened because of the work that you were personally involved with?
Um, Kind of going back to water, like I've always been interested in possibly working overseas and helping everyone get clean water. Because I mean, wastewater treatment plants aren't used all around the world. Water treatment isn't used all around the world. Waste management isn't used all around the world. And people don't realize what they're doing is harming themselves. And again, it should be a right to have clean water and a clean environment instead of, a privilege for those who are higher class or live in a certain country or anything. So it'd be nice to be able to say that I helped different communities get access to clean water and a clean environment.
Wow. Well, you helped teach Becky and me a bunch of things, and I still have to put a recap of some of those tutorials you provided up on our site. But I think it's beautiful. The vision that you have is totally achievable, and we're seeing some of it happen in the Global Waterworks, which is houses the Lake County Lake Lovers Group. But also, I think some of the things you mentioned, like sharing education within the community or sharing resources for people, is something that it would be a great help if you added anything you knew about into our community and we can share that out to others. But what else can we do for you? Like when you think, Kayla, like if you had a bunch of mentors or people who were eager to see your generation develop, what
hmm
would you ask of us, or just because we want to spend time and invest in your
hmm
generation?
Yeah, I think it's more up to like somebody to, do what they want to do. Like you can tell somebody to do something, but it's up to them to actually like go and do it. So I kind of think like just having, like just not being, at least for students and such, just not being scared to take like an elective because maybe it interests you, and just not be scared that, oh, it might be hard, like I took all these different AP classes and I was like, this is going to be hard, but I really want to take them because they sound interesting, and then here I am. And then also just not being afraid to talk to your teachers about, why they study what they do and how they got there, and maybe like the different paths they went before they actually reached. Because I mean, when you go to college, a lot of people change their major and after taking certain classes and realize it's not for them, and it's kind of just trial and error of just trying things to learn what interests you. And um yeah. That's
Well, you have a
about
bunch
it.
of good teachers like that in this group that I've
Mhm.
witnessed come alongside. I saw Robin O'Connor sitting with the guy doing the underwater drone work and helping Andres, or admiring Andres for his yeah, joystick handling. He was very good. But that's great advice, Kayla. I heard you say that, you'd like us to encourage you, not tell you what to do, but
Mhm.
support you in taking risks or point
Yeah.
out the opportunities,
hmm
and be there as a fallback, to help sort out if there's something that doesn't work, if you need an extra hand or thought. But
Yeah, just encouragement. Yeah. Like again, taking my AP physics class, like I was so discouraged. And my professor's like, you know what? Like, I mean, just come to office hours and stuff like that. And I remember finally getting my first A in an exam, and like he like even called my mom. He's like, "Oh, that was the quickest like a student has ever improved in my class," and stuff like that
Oh,
and everything. But yeah, so it's just nice to know that like they see you, like they know that like you're trying to better yourself and to really encourage that.
yeah, and just believing
Hmm.
in your capabilities or pointing out what strengths they observe, because
Hmm.
John was clearly very happy to just let you show the way on every tool in that lab, which is really a
Yeah.
vote of confidence. So that's over at CLC, you guys, and that was very fun. So we're supportive of you guys staying in that lab and hopefully being able to do more. And did you have any questions for the group?
Um, I don't believe so. I mean, I guess I should mention, we're hopefully within the next year or so gonna have like a lake management program and a limnology program established at CLC. I know I've even mentioned it to some of my friends who don't do science things and would love to take those classes. So, yeah,
That would be
exciting.
awesome. Yeah, Robin, you had a comment, but you're muted right now. So,
Oh, here
so
I am.
that
I'm saying I would like to take some of those classes. That's what I was going
Mm.
to
we all want to take some, and I think we have some who could teach some here. So,
Mhm.
well, Kayla, thank you for being there, for showing us the ropes and all the tools that you have, and also having that lofty vision. I'm going to just put in the chat group here. Also, we do have a group that's working on the clean water for Africa that you and anyone else can join and potentially go over there with us to see. Right now, there's 7 communities with rainwater harvesting systems that have gone in, and we have about 10 in India. And the youth are getting very active in actually setting up those systems or sizing them and working with experts. And that might be something you would enjoy. And yeah, our belief, based on everything we've seen, is that global water works when we all come together like this, and also when the technology is applied or made aware and um, funded for those organizations that don't have the means to support it. But I thank you for coming here, for doing what you're doing. And Becky, I'm going to turn it over to you because I'd love to hear your thoughts on where we're headed, what we've done, and I can pull up the pages and just let you shepherd this meeting for us getting to the next stage in November, which I think will be a celebration dinner together that we can all um, reflect on what's been done and to honor some of those people who really took extra initiative.
Awesome. So thanks, Mary, and thanks, Kayla. And before we let you go, do you have comfort in maybe sharing your screen and showing us where the data is that you've been generating on the zebra mussels?
Let me see.
Actually,
Maybe take a
bring it
peek,
up.
and if you feel like you've
Yeah.
got it, then we could maybe share that, because one of our goals is to make information transparent so
Mhm.
that others can benefit from it. And I would love to see where it's being hosted. That would be awesome. So Mary's actually showing us. That's awesome. I know John was with
Yeah.
us.
Oh, I wasn't aware. I still have my screen showing. Yeah. So here's Kayla and the group. There's Kayla and Happy because they've just gotten this wonderful net. But you go ahead and tell, and I'll link through. There is a
Nice.
detail
Yeah,
here.
we have a website and there should be a tab on I don't know if it's linked there, but I can
Mm,
find it and send the
It is
website
here.
into the
It's,
chat.
I think, is this. Oh, this is the Zebra Mussel Project is linked in here. Let me just see where it is.
Mhm.
Um,
And while we find the information, I'm curious, I know Paul's with us, Stacy are with us. Do others that are representing a Lake County lake, do you also struggle with invasive zebra mussels? Stacy, can I call on you first because I see your camera's on?
You know, quite honestly, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. When I was listening to this, I wrote down, we haven't really begun to deal with the zebra mussels yet.
Okay.
And we need to. And actually, the last time IDNR was out, I brought up that we don't have a wash station for boats, right? And that should be part of bringing a boat on and out of Island Lake. But yes, we do need to pursue that. So
Okay, thanks for
nada.
sharing that. Paul, I know you're on your camera and you're muted, so I don't know if you're available to answer, but I know you're really involved with Countryside Lake monitoring. I was just curious if Countryside is doing any zebra mussel work. Robin, are you involved in any local lake?
There, I got it.
Oh, you are there, Paul. Go ahead, giving you the floor.
We don't have any zebra mussels. They are monitoring our lake. The Lake County Zebra Mussel Project Foundation is monitoring our lake. They picked up the monitoring gadgets. I don't know what you call them. Just a week ago, and I don't know the results, but I was there when they picked them up. I helped them, pick them up, and to me, it looked like they were bare. That we do not have any zebra mussels in Countryside Lake. I think that's the result, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
But we have the Chinese mystery snake, which is worse, I think.
Okay. Thank you for just commenting, and it bought us some time. I know that Mary is driving right now, trying to get a link. Results are in the Google sheet, I think.
yeah.
So
Oh,
one of
here
our
you have the-
goals as Lake County Lake Lovers is to find user-friendly platforms. Think Google Maps, think a Google Doc. I don't know. We're looking for people with technology skills and interests to help us create or leverage something that already exists. A free platform where we could make monitoring data more transparent. So one of our themes for tonight is celebrating. We'll do some more celebrating next month, but reflecting. We've spent 7 months together. We've accomplished some really cool things so far this year in 2024, and we're starting to think about what might we do in 2025. And one of my dreams, is how do we make citizen data more transparent? How might we be able to create trend lines so that we can start to see, is the lake staying the same, improving, or declining? We know our health department has limited resources, and if you're lucky, they can come out to your lake perhaps once every 10 years. So how might we fill in those gaps, right? That's something we think Lake County Lake Lovers might be able to play some type of a role, either in offering training and or making information more transparent. Perhaps linking together lakes that might have similar challenges so that leaders of those lakes could network and swap stories of what's been tried and results. So Kayla, thank you for sharing. So I think everyone understood that Kayla said yes to doing an internship. She's learned all the nitty gritty of very specific monitoring, including under a microscope, for controlling zebra mussels. What I took away from that summer day with you is that probably you'll never get to a lake that has zero once zebra mussels enter in, but hopefully you can reduce the population so it's not clogging drains and causing problems, right? And just hoping that the magic zebra mussel fairy will come and take care of it isn't a good strategy. So the foundation has been pioneering technology and monitoring devices, and perhaps with Paul saying that Countryside Lake is going to start being under that umbrella, maybe next year in 2025 we can collaborate to get more lakes being monitored.
Mm.
So that would be an example. I think one of the big recent successes that we had on September 9th, on this theme of empowering younger generations, collaborated with a teacher from Buffalo Grove High School. And many of you said yes to being volunteers. And we had about 80 students from 8 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, as well as 21 volunteers who went out to Buffalo Grove Watershed and empowered the kids to do hands-on science for the day, learning different ways to measure the health of a watershed through water testing, through macroinvertebrates, through fish identification, and also using the drones with looking for invasive zebra mussels. So we do have some photos. We have a video. I don't know, Mary, are we capable of playing the video if people haven't seen it? Or
Well,
maybe we should ask, has everyone here seen the video? I don't want to bore people and watch it again if you've already watched it.
It is 12 minutes long.
It is
So
kind of a
that's-
long video. If we just, we had really nice collaboration. A lot of groups said yes to working together to make this happen. And we had beautiful weather. I think kind of an informal poll was that those who volunteered had a really positive experience and would be open to doing it again. And we have plans to follow up with other teachers that we've networked with. This all began from inviting all the Lake County science teachers, at least one from every high school in Lake County, to come and see what Libertyville was doing back in May. And what grew out of that is that one of the teachers said yes to trying this at Buffalo Grove. And so you're seeing one of our volunteers is a drone operator and put together this fabulous video and did it really quickly. Like within a couple days, we had this put together. So Paul, you were one of the volunteers as well as Robin. Stacy, you were there observing. Kayla, I don't think you got an opportunity to come and see this. So be happy to let anyone reflect on that. Stacy, do you want to add your thoughts first?
Sure. It was really nice to get to cycle through all of the stations and watch what was going on. It was just like you said, a beautiful day, Becky, but to watch when we first started off early, the students came in kind of flat, kind of unsure, and then to watch the excitement grow throughout the day is what I really enjoyed. You know, when they were touching the carp and handing that around, they became very involved very quickly. And I think the reason why that happened is because the groups were a manageable size, right? Really nobody had the chance to just hang back and do nothing.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be an important component, that you don't have that group of 5 or 7 that just watches everybody else do it. And everybody that I saw facilitating obviously had some experience with kids, because they were using those strategies to draw in the ones sort of hanging back. I saw a lot of lights go on with the kids, you know, like, whoa, this is our future. And I didn't know that stuff was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I can see that we've got Robin here. Robin, you'd like to take the floor, add any thoughts?
Wonderful. It was such a wonderful experience. My takeaway was, and I will agree with you, I thought I saw light bulbs going on. I mean, you know, when they shock the fish and then they take hundreds of fish by net in through the net. I mean, the oohs and the ahs, and then they were diving and measuring them. And yet, one of the carp wasn't going to be tossed back in. And that in an example showed the kids that although we are trying to preserve life and keep it up, there are some fish in some situations that we have to be wise about, because it will destroy parts of the lake. So I thought that lesson was there as well, because often we have lessons that are like I don't want to say surface level, but you find that things are surface. And I really felt that that day went deep.
Mm.
And I also feel that we encouraged a lot of students that day to maybe take another step forward and maybe go into some of those fields.
Yeah, I love it.
Everything was wonderful. And the experts that were there, I don't know, I learned a lot that day.
Yeah, Xylem was one of our big partners, and they had 5 volunteers from the company.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's fun.
Paul and Bill, would either of you like to add anything?
Paul here. So yeah, I think it was a good experience. I do want to mention that I'm low on battery, so if I drop off, that's what happened. I suggest somebody contact the Lake Zurich High School. They have a water body that's a trouble water body adjacent to their high school, and but it was a good experience. And I tried to get the students to understand that replicate measurements are important, and reference standards are important. I don't know that I got through to them, but I think they enjoyed the day, and like everybody else, I hope that we triggered a spark in some of them to learn more about science, and specifically about limnology and all the aquatic ecology kind of things.
Thank you. Thank you. Just watching these pictures that Mary's showing of the kids touching a fish, you might take for granted that everyone has gone fishing and taken a fish off the hook and handled a fish, but I'm surprised, that is not always the case. And so just allowing them to have, every kid got to touch fish, right? And some were braver than others, and some might go for something large, and some wanted something tiny. But anyways, Bill, are you with us? Do you want to add any thoughts on this wonderful day?
Well, I think what it really came out to me was the difference between the day at Libertyville and the day at Buffalo Grove, because the environments were so different.
Right.
One was a lake environment, another one was kind of a watershed.
Mm-hmm.
And the differences of the testing that we did, and the type of fish that we came up with from the electrofishing was really, quite impressive. And it was impressive to see the students and their adaptability to new information that they didn't know about. And I gotta give kudos to Michael, who is one of the best science teachers I've seen. And there's his picture right there.
Yeah.
I don't know who that guy is. Get rid of him. So, but I really love to see what we're doing, the advancement. And I agree with Paul. We should get a hold of Lake Zurich right away, and maybe the other schools that were there for the Labor Day presentation, and start contacting them to work towards 2025. I think we discussed this a little bit in our strategic meeting the other day, but I think it's really important to start really spreading this education, because each one's going to be different, and it's exciting to see that.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone who, I think this was a really big win. And, one of the questions that I'd like us as a group to think about is, well, how many of these a year do we honestly think, if all of us were the volunteers that are showing up, could we do 4? Could we do 10? Could we do it every single weekend? Probably there's a capacity constraint somewhere, right? I would love to go back to the teachers who came to Libertyville and expressed interest, Waukegan and Warren High School, both the Almond campus and the, what's the other campus name? Almond Road, and I'm drawing a blank, but they have their students divided into 2 campuses, and start with them because they took the time to come and see Libertyville's and also share the video and assess interest, and maybe give them first dibs on dates next year, and then go back out to all the teachers, including Lake Zurich, and see, who might be willing to partner with us and start exploring building that out. So that is definitely something I see 2025 is doing more of those hands-on science learning days. I would also love to cultivate more internship opportunities so that students who kind of catch that fever can perhaps do something over the summer, or maybe we can promote what programs made at Lake County or other area schools like Loyola that have degree programs that kids could think about pursuing. And we also did, Bill and Mary and I, some strategic planning around how might we experiment with citizen science data, not to do everything possible in the book, but the most minimum, and to try to collaborate to improve the health of at least one lake in Lake County in 5 years or less, right? We set that as a vision, as a goal. So I would love to run this as an opportunity for lakes to propose participating and collaborating with us if they met certain standards. We would want engaged homeowners associations or people around the lake to participate rather than just one lone wolf person, because we would love to teach them how to do some monitoring, make the data transparent, leverage all of our wonderful experts that are volunteers here in Lake County Lake Lovers, and see how might we either help support them execute a lake plan that they already have and or help to draft one, perhaps. So we did some dreaming around that. And then Mary, I know you were recently at a conference in New Orleans last week, talking to lots of global, I think, experts on water, listening to who's doing work around making data transparent. Do you have anything there that you'd like to share?
Yeah, visually I need to post those things, but actually there is a tremendous amount of data right here in Illinois. They have the Illinois State Water Data Survey, and they amazingly had right down here in Lake Forest, sort of the remains of what was just a toxic waste area where they were attempting to clean water, and it flowed right into here in Libertyville. It was incredible what they had on their posters that I think is a fun reflection back on how far we've come. But the USGS is doing data water data information across the nation. And they actually have some algae monitors over at Long Lake and elsewhere. And then I was just over at Lake County Health Department today, or the Stormwater Management Commission, and they have their own Lake County mapping system. So what we're challenged with is so many different mapping systems. And when I was down at WEFTEC, which is the massive technology conference for the water industry, and next year it's in Chicago, right in our backyard, so we can all go down there in October and spread the word on how Lake County's figured it out, hopefully by then. But I think what was really nice is they were willing to lend their data and their expertise. And USGS does provide teacher tools, and so I'll post those next week in the community, so everyone has those. But Xylem also has a digital expertise, and they are using an input mechanism to capture data from their instruments, but that's sort of proprietary. And they liked the idea of our using maybe a Google Maps or a Excel type of a capture system for citizen scientists. And they said that they'd be happy to weigh in on that. And so between the EPA and their roster of lakes, the Lake County Health Department and their reports, and very extensive bathymetric scans, and our Google mapping, and also Libertyville High School's interested in lakes and monitoring, and they have a computer science person who thinks a few students could lend a hand on that. I think there's massive resources. The challenge is getting people onto one page. And so
wouldn't that be a great dream for next year, to see if we could pilot something in Google Maps or something very simple, perhaps with links to all the other places where more detailed data is captured. Not everyone will go into the bathymetric report and scan through all the density of that. Certain people will, but wouldn't it be great if we could help be the glue that ties some of this together, but has a nice user interface so that maybe the most simplistic user can just glance at something and get some information. So that's a place that we'd love to play in. So I think with all of that, we have done some really wonderful things. We kicked off our planning in March. Here we are in October, and we've got some successes that we're excited to expand. That said, all of these efforts take time, and I want to say thank you. So watch for a more formal gathering opportunity in the month of November. It's a month of being thankful, and we wanted to express thanks to Lake County Lake Lovers could not be what it is without each of you. And of course, there were others who are not with us tonight. So we just wanted to pause in our busy lives and come together and have some social time and gather and say thank you. We would love for you to invite others, people that you have as friends, as perhaps colleagues, former colleagues that might be interested in getting involved. We would love to find out what people love to do and let them do that, right? Because when you do volunteer work, it's so much more fun to do the part of it that you really love. Then it's not work. It's just something you look forward to doing. So we're really committed to that. And we'd love to see Lake County Lake Lovers get bigger and more impactful. We do have some grants that are being investigated. We have some conversations that are in the midst about perhaps acquiring some probes that could measure phosphorus. Apparently that's a tough thing to get a measurement on. It's really important. Happy to talk a little bit more about that, or perhaps we want to let the ink dry on some of these things before we share more. But I don't think our constraint is we don't have ideas and we don't have dreams. I think what we have is lots and lots of that. And we just would love more hands and more excitement and to bring more of these things to life.
Absolutely. And Robin, you had a comment. You had a desire to actually bring your school involved, I think, and also Independence Grove.
Well, I mean, whoops, here we go. I work in Antioch, and I work at Grass Lake School, and that school alone, is surrounded all by lakes. So I mean, I feel like, and to be honest, our theme for this year is community. So that will tie in nicely, because certainly we can definitely, put the lakes within that community word. I mean, just an example, our school took all of their teachers on a bus tour around that whole area so that we have a complete understanding of where our students live and what's their life like. And I wasn't that familiar with Antioch. I've learned a lot, but that school is literally surrounded by lakes, and all of our kids either live on a lake or they live very close.
Mm-hmm. And it's a K-8 school, right, Robin?
Okay, actually. And another thing that amazes me is that we actually had one of our students kind of narrate, and the information that he knew about lakes depth and it really was amazing. So I know the science teacher there. I may, talk to her and see how maybe this is something that she'd like to get involved in.
Yeah, I love that. I think Mary's scrolling through some of the highlights of the year, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. And maybe, Stacy, I know you talked about Earth Day and the 3 things you're doing out there, with Earth Day to adopt a lake or adopt a park, and also your restoration efforts. Do you have an update?
No, just like anything, it all starts out strong, and then as people get busy with other things, whoever was coordinating it, there's nobody to hand it off to. So I still think our Adopt a Park and Adopt a Lake program is one of the best things that we've done. And as we were talking here, I was just thinking that maybe like at our expo next year, what we do instead of getting more people to adopt a park, we actually have a session where everybody that's adopted a park, we come together and do something. So it's sort of like, how do you keep it alive to the people once you get them in, right? On volunteer time. But otherwise, we're going to do Earth Day next year, and we haven't started to plan that yet, but I would like to see that grow into more of the data information, like the presentation sessions. We talked about it last year, and we had a video set up with Eleanor, lake management, ILM doing our lake management plan, but nobody really stopped to listen to it. Right.
Mm.
So I don't know. I suppose it's the next step is really engaging people in the down and dirty other than just the fun part.
Be fun to
Absolutely.
figure out a way to make the down and dirty, if you will, fun. Right. We all want to come together and eat chocolate or cake or have a beer or insert here, whatever our proverbial carrot is,
Yeah.
that makes something fun. So
Yeah.
I do think that's a really important ingredient for successful volunteer work, is that it's fun. It's
Right.
rewarding, it has meaning, it's easy to do, it's fun to do. I look forward to doing it. I can't wait to do it. You know, if it's drudgery, if it's like, I
Mhm.
don't know, cleaning the litter box of the cats, right? You know, everyone's going to have a reason why not today. So we want to make it fun. And I think we can say, you know, some of the things we've done have been really fun, right? The Earth Day event was a lot of fun. I loved how hands-on we were able to create the tables, so people who walked by didn't just hear a flyer, but they actually saw the products, right? And they could interact with things. They could smell the smell of the water coming out of Island Lake. So
Yeah, and we're so fortunate to have Stacy and also Buzz Mazzeffi share, strategies, the lake planning, and then his muck pellets, which I know you're starting at Island Lake, and then also to have John and the Zebra Mussel Foundation come in and have the guys who actually work with the Fox River Way share their success with these integrated systems, enzymes, and aeration. And I did get a new report that we're going to put in. I enhance my video editing skills, but it is about new algae, NUALGI, I think is the name of the company, and they've had a lot of success getting restoring lakes just from diatoms, a type of algae that brings in oxygen and actually serves as the aeration while it provides a digestive action itself. So it's a pretty amazing act of nature, but I think there's a lot more that we can do in terms of education. But what the good news is that I think across the year, and each of you have contributed to this, we set and executed on strategy, and Becky and Bill, I commend you for that. We have examples of plans, success stories, schools engaged. We have science and technologies that are available now, and groups that are making progress. And I think there are a bunch of partners, the Fox River Waterway and the Fox Waterway, and then the Friends of the Fox River, Gary Swick and Joe Kellner. I spoke with them before today's meeting, and or Joe and the team at the Fox Waterway, and they said that there's nothing more important right now than education and just allowing people to see there are many ways they can get involved in their lakes and start to be a friend to their lakes. And their bands at the beach and the Independence Grove concerts on the lake provide a great way for us to sort of hook ourselves to something really fun, for next year, which I agree with that idea. Like, let's make it all fun, because it's really refreshing to have people who are so practical and who love nature like yourselves.
and want to get involved. If we can let them know specifically what we're asking, make it fun and explain why it matters. Those are the secret 3 ingredients, right, to help make things really happen. So
I had a question on the 9 lakes, because Stacy, you had a meeting place and everyone said these 9 lakes used to be gathering together very consistently. Where did they meet? And our November 21st meeting could be a pizza party at that place, or we could do Bill's Pizza Pub up here or someplace else. Do you have ideas, Stacy? You just went on mute and went off the video, so maybe I caught you at a bad time.
Well, I think for sure somewhere in Lake County, right? And doesn't have to be really
Sure, it was like
formal.
Barrington area.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Or like Zurich, maybe it's
Mhm.
by that
Mm-hmm.
troubled lake. So I can get the place to, are you guys all game for having an in-person meeting for next Thursday, November 21st, a week before Thanksgiving? And Stacy, you went off mute. She must be having problems.
Okay, there I am.
Yay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think we should have an off-site meeting. I have several people. You're right. Let's try and invite some new people in. But I talked to a lot of the people involved in that Nine Lakes watershed, and Lisa Wolford was very involved with that. And when we were looking at gathering some information for grants and things, she said the problem with that whole study is that it's now too old to be used for grants and things. Isn't that interesting? The data's too old, and a lot of the people have moved out of the area or just kind of did what they did and they're done.
Where you guys were regularly meeting at a place, right? That
Well, I wasn't part of that when they did that, but yes, they did. They regularly met somewhere. Yeah, I'm not sure where. I can ask Lisa.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought if that was a place they were accustomed to meeting, but
No, a lot of the people are gone. You know, they've moved on to other places or are done trying to deal with it. One of the two.
it does seem like lake efforts disband. There's a limited amount of momentum you can build, and then I
Yes.
think either you've been successful or people grow weary.
Right. Yeah. Yes, that's a good way to summarize it, Mary. And to them, the publication of the Nine Lakes watershed document was their end goal.
Mm.
Absolutely to, initiate some of the concepts that came out of it, but then they grew weary. Yeah.
Well, let's
Well,
see if we can prevent that from happening to Lake County lake lovers, right?
Mhm.
And to me, that really brings us back to, at the end of the day, if we can do one thing, right? And this would be a thing maybe that we can weigh in a little bit at our gathering in November. But are we trying to help improve the health of a lake or a handful of lakes, right? Ideally, all the lakes, but realistically, could we even do one or five, right? So sitting around and monitoring, but nothing's getting better. To me, I would challenge that as we're not being successful. I would love to see us really know how to understand what a lake needs and to bring volunteers together to help make it happen if possible, right? So maybe that's a bold vision, but I would really love to challenge us as a group to set that as our goal. And that can be our measuring stick, to see, when we invest our energy in something, is it helping us achieve that overarching goal? Or should that not be our goal, right? We talked about that in our strategic planning a little bit. Bill and Mary and I did a couple weeks ago. I think it was a couple weeks ago.
yeah, I did put
um,
a sample out here. I can share with you guys on where we're at, but I think we can send it to you for input.
Yeah, maybe you can post it in the community and people can weigh in on that. That would be
Mhm.
lovely. And I don't think we should close tonight without giving Bill the floor. Bill, my wonderful co-lead, would you love to add your wisdom here tonight?
I think he had to hop off.
Ah, did we lose him?
Sorry to
Okay,
say.
okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I wasn't noticing that.
Yeah, here, just there we have a Lake County Lake Lover Steering Committee. I will add you guys to. So here, and we do have some questions on lakes to keep discussions going. What are the most common causes of lake closures? If we had all the answers on lakes, but I digress. I think you sort of covered a good place where we are. We've had a great year, and I just want to commend Becky and Paul and Stacy and Robin, and you've all stepped up, and Kayla, you're educating us, and what you've shared tonight is really a great guidance for us to unleash and support, but not tell the next generation what to do. I think that's
Yeah.
beautiful. And thank you for leading the way. Thank you for doing it.
Yeah, and thank you for having me as well. I'm glad that my schedule worked out so I could
Yeah.
join the Zoom call.
Yeah, it's awesome. Oh, Becky's got that vibe, the personal vibe. All of you on this call have that great vibe.
Yeah.
And Paul's probably being kicked out of his restaurant right now. Can't.
Yeah. And his battery is dying. So we're at 8 o'clock. Do we want to wrap up tonight and then watch for invites for a in-person gathering, Thankful November, and we'll gather there. Feel free to invite people who might be interested in joining us as we get ready to, begin 2025 refreshed and taking on even more.
That sounds awesome. So
Awesome.
everyone can, just by a show of hands or a click in the chat, can you, if you can't make it November 21st, 7, let us know, but we'll plan on you there, and some recognitions will be there. We want to acknowledge the great milestones with the education days and the contributions, and the next generation and our technology expertise. So it sounds
Yay.
like everyone will
It
be
works
there.
for
So-
Paul. Awesome.
And most importantly, I think, Becky, you said, like, bring friends, we can share celebration. There are so many good stories. We'll have some videos playing, or, that should engage them. I think we also have 2 different pieces that people can use to see how they can start to make a difference. We have so many pieces from the county, but we have our own brochure, and we'll have a 10 steps thing anyone can use to be a friend of lakes. So
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. It's great to connect tonight.
yes, great to have you here.
Yep. Thanks,
Paul,
everyone.
Stacy, Robin, Kayla, have a great night.
You too.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.